Hello everyone and welcome to the ALttPR AD Key Sanity Tournament 2022. We have Game 2 of a Round 1 series between matt7898 and Jet082. Bringing us the commentary, we have Dante and Claremouse. Take it from you two.
Yo, how's it going? Dante, have you heard of either Matt or Jet for Link to the Past Randomizer Runners?
I have never heard of either one of these guys. These are new faces in the community. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah, new faces. Maybe you know. They even actually played. They had to play a match last night. In case you didn't quite catch it, but yeah, Matt and Jet, seasoned veterans, very well decorated runners. Not only, Jet has, I believe, a main tournament title. He has a league champion title. So in this case, multiple champions. Matt, of course, absolutely no slouch himself. He won SGL 2021 actually last November, starting with basically a hard version of casual boots. So we actually have a pretty good Clash of the Titans here for us.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely a matchup that if you told me was round 1 of this tournament, I would have told you that's crazy. But we see these guys get going here. There's a key for Pod inside Link's house, but nothing too valuable except maybe a map over in Sync.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it looks like actually we've actually got a pretty divergent pass already. Yeah, one starting at Sank, one starting at Link's house. And, so this of course being game 2. Matt, of course, does have a 1-0 game lead over Jet. And the way that actually these guys ended up doing, picking the modes, is so Matt ended up picking the first game, which was actually starting boots, open, all dungeons, key sanity. This was Jet's pick, which is just default, open, no starting item. They're gonna have to basically hunt for everything for themselves.
Yeah, no starting boots definitely can be slower, but at the same time, there could be some strategy coming into play here, adding some meaning to some of these checks that are potentially out of the way. We did see that Matt did pick up from the uncle a small key to Swamp. That is going to be very, very crucial when we have to get to Swamp Palace. Luckily, that for both of these guys, that's kind of just there. That's not going to be something we're going to see missed.
Yeah. And of course, early Swamp Palace, small key. For better or for worse, we are going to have to, of course, go into Swamp. This is all dungeons. We basically can't, hope that, for example, Swamp is a pendant. We are definitely going to be able to, we basically have to clear out everything here. A Swamp Palace, small key, certainly going to be one of those gated entrances. Always going to be happier probably to see one of those keys sooner rather than later. Just because also you can avoid that particular pesky, difficult decision of I've got the hammer, I've got the flippers. Do I need to dip in to see the first chest of Swamp? Sometime a longer path.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of gives you 2 checks, I guess. Instead of the one that we always worry about without a hammer. But I'm hoping for these guys' sake, maybe hammer is our Dark World access with that glove. Maybe we don't have to search the Dark World for a hammer today, but it is key sanity, so you never know.
Yeah, no, that's right, yeah. We would certainly, actually in game 1, they actually just happened to find the hammer actually right here in Blindside. Jet is actually going to get a little bit of a heads up lead over Matt, basically making these checks. And of course, early hammer is always going to be nicer sooner rather than later. Okay. All right, well then, so in this case, if just like in non-key sanity modes, right, if we end up having like mids access, certainly going to be a little bit more awkward, basically trying to route the rest of the Dark World.
Yeah, for sure. And, we did just see one of those CT small show up here. Another crucial key that you want to find early, potentially as a runner. Maybe not both of them too early, but you don't want to have that be your go mode. That's always kind of a stressful situation in an 80 key seed, but, not a bad start for these guys.
Oh yeah, and actually with that Castle Tower small key, this actually might be a little bit more incentive for Jet to, go up to, the castle. Same with Matt. In this case, so we don't necessarily, unfortunately, have maybe like a Master Sword or Cape to get into Castle Tower quite yet, but they can certainly be, if they can maybe delay their pass a little, they can, maybe try and combine like the 2 checks in Castle Tower along with like the front of Escape. We see a Moon Pearl too in the back of the well. So Dark World access. Are we gonna get this pretty soon here?
Maybe. Well, we got a nice bit of cash here inside the well, and the bottle vendor paying dividends today. Everything is on the rise as far as the economy goes in Hyrule.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, of course, money can only go up from here, unless, of course, we have to, unfortunately, spend a little bit of money. But, it's not like you can take this money after you shut off the game, right?
Yeah, for sure. It all goes away. You just gotta use it while you can. So there's a Ice Palace small
nice chest turn. Yeah.
over in Chicken Hut. Yeah, the chest turn, saving those precious frames.
That's right. Yeah.
But Ice Palace small, always a nice thing to find in keys too. So opening, considering no boots, opening really, really solid here, I think, so far.
Oh yeah, and it looks like just 20 rupees also in the back of the tavern. Certainly, a bit paltry compared to the, early 600 rupees that we ended up picking up early in Kakariko. But this is gonna give every little bit of extra money at the beginning. We actually did see, like, for example, Jet took some of his money in order to buy some 10 bombs. Matt looks like he opted to kind of skip that. At least for the time being. Money's always very useful, of course, for Pod. Zora, of course, with that glove, it is definitely in logic. So eventually, hopefully they can make their way over there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they will at some point, but speaking of cash, $20 there on the race game. Both runners deciding, I don't want that. We did see that one of our armor upgrades, there are 2 of those in the pool, and we're probably not going to see them go back for that one in the library. Nothing... not super valuable in this mode, considering most likely we're going to be pretty stacked on health unless something, unforeseen happens with this item placement. And
it looks like dude, following basically is very similar routes doing the back escape. Okay, got Ether Medallion. Certainly could be very useful clearing out enemies. We are going to need certainly 1 medallion today at least. Getting into Mire and Turtle Rock, but no sword at the moment to be able to use it quite yet.
Yeah, gonna need a sword for that. Gonna need a sword or 2 or maybe 3 to kill Ganon, but looks
we
like
would
both
certainly like 3.
3 would be ideal. But we've got some secretization somewhat still heading into South Shore. I mean, this is a fairly, common opening. You don't want to start skipping anything now because it's way too early.
It is too early, and we're kind of in here, for the journey, right? It's all about the experience, right? Of we have to clear out all the dungeons. No reason to incur some unnecessary and early mental damage, just to have always kind of have that happening, in the back of your head, like, oh man, like, is this one check that I'm going to skip early? Always kind of just nagging at you.
Yeah, for sure. And here we see a mushroom at the flooded spot. And Matt looking like he's gonna walk right on up, maybe fake flipper and turn this in, and I actually kind of like this play.
Yeah, this is actually, this is dynamic routing, right? Basically on the fly, Matt, very familiar with, cross keys, AD keys, opening, this is very, common thing to basically do, set up a fake flipper at this portal and basically just go right up to the witch's hut. I don't believe Matt is that common, I guess, of a, fake powder person, so this is actually, very, very understandable for him basically turning the mushroom immediately. Versus maybe some other runners might want to, maybe save and quit first, right? In hopes of basically safe scumming that mushroom. Jet, though, he's finding some pretty nice things here in Mini Mushroom Cave, right? Oh.
Yeah, that hook shot, very valuable. I did see a big key, and I saw Matt also pull a big key from the mushroom, so that is very valuable. Now, Jet's big key we just saw was from Ice. And that is always something you want to have just for peace of mind before you go to Ice Palace. So again, early game, being so nice to these guys.
Oh yeah. So speaking of nice, so the big key that Matt ended up picking up from the mushroom was actually the big key to Swamp Palace. With that small key, I mean, this is gonna be like, we're not gonna incur any mental damage. We're gonna be able to full clear smoke. We're gonna be able to full clear ice. Fun fact from their last seed, last night. So they got so Swamp was the green pendant. They turned it in for the Swamp Palace big key, which had the flute. And the big chest.
Amazing.
So yeah. So yeah,
amazing.
I think they're pretty happy probably to see this Swamp Palace big key this time. Jet taking actually a long way over to Ice Rock Cave, finding himself a sword. Did you? Okay, I'm so glad we have Akuhaish and Wall Cakes today as our trackers because like the flurry of items that are coming at us, Dante, it's so overwhelming. Like Matt ended up picking up 3 trackable items. I saw a bow, I saw a lamp. I think there was something else in there too.
It truly is, and big shout outs to the trackers because they're keeping us in line. We're watching this, trying to yell at you guys in chat and say what's happening, and it's really hard to follow sometimes. So we do appreciate them helping us out.
Yeah, all right, so Akukai, of course, in chat, we're reminding all of us that the third item was a GT small key. Matt taking that bow, immediately heading over to Eastern Palace. I very much approve of this, of this maneuver. Let's see, in this case, what Eastern Palace has to offer us. Meanwhile, Jet looks like he is opting to do a little bit some more out-of-logic checks. Most likely, with that Zora cash on hand, I could do some water checks and probably go, buy 500 rupees worth of something very important, but probably hopefully something going to be useful, but more often than not, hopefully it's probably not going to. Meanwhile, though, Matt, did he find a sword of his own in Eastern Palace?
It looks like he has. So that's 2 of our 4 in play. That's going to be, like we said, we needed at least 2, preferably 3. But hey, we're getting close to kind of what you were talking about earlier. We've got access to get into Castle Tower now. And that, I don't want it to come into play just yet, but it could. There's with that one small key, there are 2 checks inside of there, and they are both in logic right now with Lamp being available.
Oh yeah, that's right. Lamp it's not I would say necessarily a common thing for a lamp to show up so early, especially in 80 keys. But that certainly could be something that is going to be on our runners' minds. With that lamp, of course we know from both sides that there are 2 swords available. Ooh, Jet finding a powder on Zora Ledge. Not quite sure. Do you know if he has the ability to actually get it at this point? With the equipment that he has? I
don't think so, given what he has right now. So we might be, coming back at some point. All right, so Zora just has a big ol' heart container, and considering Jet was on low health for a good portion of that stint, I'm sure, having an extra heart is always a welcome thing. So we'll definitely take those early game.
Yeah, especially we have a glove, we have a pearl already. We are actually still one major ticket item away from Dark World. But the fact of the matter is, it's still 1. And going to the Dark World on this equipment, green mail, 4 to 5 hearts. That's probably not necessarily the most important thing. Certainly would not complain necessarily about a little bit more safety.
Yeah, and what we see here, Jet is actually doing, to him, a sequence break, heading up the mountain. Hookshot makes a lot of sense for this, just because there are a plethora of checks. This kind of keeps him out of potentially doing what Matt has done, of diving another dungeon early, maybe cutting down on the double dipping. That's kind of one of the key things, I think, in keys, that you want to, maximize your efficiency and not have to double dip as, cut down as many double dips as you can.
Yeah. We talk about 80 keys, of course, you have to basically do, everything. There is still a great amount of efficiency that in this case you can achieve just because you have to do everything.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Matt going to be picking up those items that we saw here on Jet's side, getting his Hookshot Ice Palace big. Hopefully, for his sake, heads on over to Ice Rod Cave and gets that sword. But we see a small key on Jet's side up on top of Spec Rock. We're going to need a mirror for that and just 3 bombs inside. I guess we're probably not grabbing those. It's going to be time to head on over to the eastern portion of the mountain.
Yeah, and especially for Jet, and again, this might be a potential spoiler for Game 1, but well, let's just say that the item on Spectacle Rock Cave from last seed was unfortunately misplaced by Jet, and so I'm sure he was very aware of the fact that he needs to check Spectacle Rock Cave. It happens to be a small key in this case. We still don't know what, of course, that small key is. We already did see a pretty valuable small key on Matt's side, of course, small key to Swamp. But of course, could be some other, I would say, more important ones. Hera small key, for instance, that would also, lead to another item. Of course, it also could be like
Indeed.
a minor small, and we may not necessarily worry about that.
All right, so Matt got his Master Sword, and I think we just saw like a piece of heart there in the first 2 checks of Paradox. Now we do have 5 checks coming up here. This is kind of like, I guess maybe Light World's Hype Cave, if you want to call it that. And speaking of, we got a sword and a mirror, so we're already 2 for 2, 3 for 3. Big key to TR, gonna need that. I'd say that was pretty useful. It's a very good play on Jet's side.
Yeah, I mean, so we have more money, I think, than we know what to do with, because in this case, Matt probably most likely is also on his way to Zora, but Jess, of course, already checked Zora. But yeah, so at least between our 2 runners, we're gonna get Tempered Sword pretty dang quickly. Of course, Jet being on Master Sword, assuming he does kind of go over to the Eastern Palace area, or or if he doesn't, once he makes his way up to the castle, right? I have every confidence that Jet is able to at least do to get the second chest of Castle Tower in the dark if he needs to.
Yeah, and we just saw Kana Samaria up on the floating island, so more and more of those Y items showing up, and that's always potentially a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, knowing that the Kana Samaria is there, so we did see that Jet just recently, of course, picked up that mirror. We know that floating island in this case is midst locked. Something that I don't know if Jet necessarily wants to come up here, after getting midst, but certainly that Kana Samaria is going to be pretty useful for Ice Palace. Speaking of Ice Palace, we just found a fire rod that would let us inside, assuming we can lift the rock for the portal.
Yeah, we're gonna need a stronger arm. Maybe a nice golden glove of some kind.
Something about the mitts, Titans, something's gloves. Got it. Okay, got it.
The powerful gloves is what we'll call it. But Matt seeing that item over there on Zora Ledge, we'll see if he decides to do any. Actually, he's not going to be able to get it either. He only has 1 bomb, so...
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so, I mean, Jet, I think when he came over here, basically no real equipment to his name. Maybe had a couple bombs. In this case, Matt having the bow and some arrows, but unfortunately, not enough bombs most likely to do any type of, Ancilla.
Clear Mouse, did you see what just showed up on Jet's side?
I did not. What did Jet end up picking up?
So, that small key on Spec Rock is our second Castle Tower small. So, I'm starting to get a feeling that we might need to actually, do Castle Tower to get to Dark World. It's starting to look that way.
Imagine having an Agassiz and 80 keys. I mean, so on the plus side, right? We definitely know we're not going to have Castle Tower Go mode, which seems to be more often than not. For 80 keys. On, of course, the other hand, looking at these runners' equipments, we've got green mail. 4 hearts, maybe 5, 6, if they get up to full.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think mentioning having to do Aga, it's kind of I don't want to say completely rare in this game mode, but it's definitely welcomed. I think especially runners of this caliber playing each other. If it came down to a CT small hunt, and there's a lot left, then at that point it's who guesses right first. which I guess is kind of how rando is
true.
anyway, right?
Yeah, more often than not, especially in non-keys settings, if I was just assuming Turtle Rock is a crystal, where is that ice rod hunt at the very end, right? That certainly has been the make or break decision points of many a rando race. It actually happens to be this case that last night they also won on a Castle Tower small key hunt. Just happens to be in this case that it was, I guess it was lucky, for both runners. It happens to be on the way, but yeah, in this case. Certainly, we have two fewer ice rods that we potentially have to go hunt for this time.
That's for sure. The one good thing here for Jet, so with having both CT smalls, and I guess this is tough. So like you've got a fire rod, you get some magic in here. Maybe you decide to just go ahead and do it in the dark. From our vantage point, being able to see both sides, it's a little harder of a call to make, obviously, because we know that lamp is in logic very early on.
Yeah, and it's a not necessarily like a bad spot, right? Sahasrah's the back of Sahasrah's hut is a fairly common location that runners like to go to, but especially seems like in 80 keys, no flute even to kind of make travel a little bit faster, no boost to kind of run over there a little bit faster, slightly less appealing, especially maybe you're holding out for, let's say, a bow, which of course Matt ended up picking up from Sahasrah, or like the Eastern Palace big key, right? So while I could certainly see Jet, going over there later, but he's already here, right? Certainly would not be unreasonable for him to, kind of attempt this in the dark. Fire Rod, of course, making this thing, a little bit nicer and easier, especially for like the last set of rooms.
Like I think I'm obviously kind of thinking for Jet here, but what if Lamp shows up in his eyes? Then this is a really good routing call, just because Mirror is in hand already, and then I could just do Aga and then Mirror to get Saha Eastern Pod like all together, nice. And obviously we don't have a lot of pod smalls, but yeah, like being able to kind of like tidy up that routing. I think that's kind of one of the big efficiency things we were talking about with 80 keys. And, it's a really great gamble I think he's taken here in a way, just to attempt to have that efficiency.
Yeah. I'm sure, Jet is very confident in his own abilities, at execution, at this game. And, for what it's worth, this is Jet's kind of like, moment, right? In this game, he is down 1-0. This is a best of 3 series. So, whether or not, this is kind of like, I need to win this game to force a game 3 type of situation, that may or may not, kind of play into his mind and his routing strategies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's our fourth sword.
Okay, well then, so I guess we're going to be super well equipped for the rest of the game. Both runners on Temper Sword, completely separate ones. Most likely Matt, with, of course, everything that he's going to finding in Death Mountain. Probably also going to do very similar to what Jet has done. This case, go, do Back of Escape. Most likely Dark Frost, since he does have the mirror. So Matt's going to probably be on Gold Sword, shy of probably about the 25-minute mark.
Yeah, and I just noticed this, and I kind of feel bad for Matt in this regard. It's not that much of a time loss here, but Matt has not gone back and gotten that CT small, probably hoping to get maybe a Hera big or something. But yeah, he's not going to be able to do Aga Tower right here either.
Interesting. Okay. I hope this isn't going to, I guess, like weigh down on his mind when he does eventually picks up the second tower, Castle Tower. Matt, so very accomplished NMG runner. It looks like he is actually using some of his prize pack knowledge in order to try and farm out some bombs.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Jet is going to make use of that fire rod. We are going to see a dark Aga play. I like it. From his vantage point, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and he ended up, of course, picking up a magic drop as well. So yeah, I'm not sure how much he wants to use the fire rod in order to try and kill out enemies. Most likely he wants to kind of save a couple shots, for the dark rooms. But it looks like he is going to be able to get through this no problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Jet, though, he's not even worried about torches in the dark maze in this case of Aga Tower. Look, a nice bucknet. So nothing, of course, of note, I guess, so far. So this is going to be probably the main challenge on Jet's side is to be able to get through the rest of these rooms in the dark.
Yeah,
certainly for him for not even trying to light this up though.
Yeah, he's doing really good, all things considered. Considering this is like one of the least, done dark rooms in the game, but doing a very nice job of handling the enemies, knowing the patterns there. I think this next room with the pits, we may see a torch lighting. I think that would be the smart play.
Yeah.
And there it is. So. Yeah,
this is probably
Jet's gonna be home free here easily.
Yeah, I was gonna say so while certainly you have, or you may have heard runners getting through that last room, with basically no light source, certainly is quite the challenge for him to get through. So Jet certainly, in this case, he knows when to save time.
So yeah, I mean, this is going to work out nice for Jet. He got through all the hard parts, so as long as he heads over to the pod area, and check Saha, he'll get his missing info. Now Matt has gotten his 4th sword and is in Castle Tower, but only has 1 small, so he's going to have to go back to the mountain here very shortly.
Yeah, and and of course, fortunately, at least for us, Jet just did this part of the room in the dark. We're actually going to be able to see on Matt's side what this room looks like with the lamp. Nice chest turn, of course, at the end, getting his bug net, but unfortunately, as you just said, Dante, Matt does not have that second Castle Tower small key from Spectacle Rock, well, it looks like he's going to get it now, and he may not be too happy after he picks this up.
Yeah, if he had Mike on, I think we'd hear something like him call himself a donkey or something, but hopefully not. Hopefully he'll be just fine. Yeah.
It might just feel like a little bit worse just because, we still haven't ended up fighting, those boots, so we are still kind of walking everywhere. But of course, on Jet's side, starting out his Agnum fight, no amount of items or equipment is going to be able to speed this fight up.
Yeah, and this is, obviously it's seated between both runners, so, unless they miss a beam reflection, it's going to be the same number of blue balls, thankfully. So Matt getting his second CT small and heading into Hera. Now, when Jet was here, Jet did not do the Hera pot strat to get to the upper portion of Hera without the big key. I'll be interested to see if Matt decides to go for that or if he decides to kind of stay in logic.
Yeah, and so I guess a point of note is that Jet actually did not Hera pot in the last game either, even though he did have the hook shot and the big key. So, and also, Matt, very accomplished to be able to do this with the boot setup, but of course today we don't have boots, and so he still does remember how to do this without boots. Very nicely done.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to set that up, but the one Matt chose was kind of like a double pixel perfect thing, similar to the hammer yump. It's just all in what people are familiar with and how they want to go about it.
Alright, so in that very short amount of time that Matt took to do Hera pot, basically, and go up to the end, Jet already is past Agnum 1. We did get a Pyramid Ledge check. It was just 20 rupees, given that we've already kind of passed those Zora thresholds, probably almost 2 times now at this point. Jet probably is not going to be interested. Looks like he is going straight into the pod eastern area, and, well, Jet did a very nice job getting through Agnum's tower completely in the dark, with the fire rod, of course with that mirror. He's going to be able to pick up all of the goodies that Matt had before, bow, lamp, and GT small.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Moldorm going down over on Matt's side and going to get a TR small for his trouble, as well as first crystal of the game. Jet, meanwhile, getting those items you spoke of, the bow and the lamp. Probably having a good little laugh about that placement.
Yeah, that's right. He's like,
given what he just went through.
But for what it's worth, maybe Jet, probably thought that, well, I got both Castle Tower small keys. The lamp must be out there somewhere. right? Somewhere
Exactly.
else in the light world that haven't checked. So certainly not surprised, but of course, it's a matter of convenience. Would have probably liked to have it.
And honestly, I think both of these guys have done a fairly thorough job of clearing out Light World. The early spheres, a couple of sequence breaks, but we just have, I think, Agina's Cave left for both of them that they haven't done. Obviously, Matt has done a dive of Eastern, which, the only thing I think we got out of there of any somewhat importance was a sword. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if Jet decides to do that. We'll see what he finds here in Pod. We do have one small, I do believe, and we do have the bow. So the two items on the right are in logic.
Yeah, for once, we're actually not going to sequence break out the bow lock side. We actually have a real bow in this case. And of course, if Jet ends up finding, let's say, like Eastern Palace Big Key, or like the hammers, can be a really nice play for Jet. Alright, meanwhile though, Matt, of course, lamp in hand, we are basically, going past the second chest in this case. We're going to basically make very fast work of the rest of the Act Tower. Having Gold Sword in this case, I don't think he's too worried about his offense, in this case damage.
Yeah, I think Matt is fine. I don't think he needs any more offense.
Yeah. Oh,
and
look,
lo and behold,
Dante, we've done a small key to Pod. Do you know where we found that?
Maybe in Eastern. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, you're right. It's kind of a dingy looking Eastern though, a little gray for my taste, but
it's Dark World. I mean, it's Dark World Eastern, but yeah, Pod key and Pod. It's kind of one of the adages of most key sanity modes.
Yeah, so in their seed last night, there was a vanilla small key to Pod in the shooter room and a small key to Pod in the vanilla big key chest. So today we're gonna try and either meet or break that record of 2 Pod keys in Pod. We've already got one, so.
I mean, since Jet's here, I'm sure he wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, well, that's actually probably true.
So, yeah, we've seen Vanilla Big Key chest. We've seen the Stalfos chest in the basement. We're gonna, get to see the back, as was mentioned in chat. Getting another map of this dungeon as we see a P appear at the top left. So this is one of our pendants.
Yeah, super convenient. Yeah, that is I won't necessarily say it's like a recent change, but semi-recent addition. Just because, once you end up finding a map in non-key modes, it will actually automatically just tell you once you pick it up if this is the crystal or a pendant.
Yeah, I like that feature a lot, honestly. Just saves some map checks or just some guessing or guesswork.
Yeah, so Jet, of course, with that lamp equip, we are going to be able to see every single dark room from here on out. Looks like nothing really of interest, though, here in the Rupee basement. We already ended up, of course, picking up 300 more rupees in the, the bow lock side of Pod as well, in addition to the small key. So Jet being kindly reminded that he unfortunately does not have any more keys to spin. So we're not going to be able to check Harmless Hellwood today, but we're going to be able to at least get maybe like the rest of Dark Maze.
Yeah, and given that he's gone out this south room, I'm wondering if that might have been not so much a mistrack of keys, but more of a, the muscle memory of I'd like to start from the south. Because, depending on, your habits and, where you've come from as far as, like, learning this bomb jump, it's sometimes easier to start from the south, especially if you were to, have a mishap on it, because it just...
Yes.
a lot of time risk there. All right, so Matt is making a play, a little bit of divergence. Gonna not go to Pod, and I think he's gonna be kind of rewarded for that unless just a piece of heart in that final chest that we get to see on Jet's side. So, pretty sure Jet is going to follow suit unless he's gonna dive Eastern here.
Yeah, looks like it. Trying to combine being just a little bit more efficient. As you were mentioning before, we had so long as he was basically trying to delay his trip over here, do Pod, Eastern, Saha, all kind of in one trip. Certainly, I think he was hoping maybe to find, maybe like Eastern Palace Big Key, right? But so in this case, Jet's gonna have a little bit more of exploration in Pod over Matt, as well as basically everything here in Eastern Palace.
And there's a map for Ice over in Graveyard Ledge, so that's going to be some new information should we, actually check the map today. But, given it's AD, we probably don't. But both runners now on the Gold Sword. Every boss is going to be pretty fragile. Is probably the best way to put it.
That is a very excellent way of phrasing things. Yes, the bosses certainly have a much less of a chance, basically once faced with the offensive power of the Gold Sword. Maybe with the exception of potentially Mothula. I mean, this is actually very interesting on Matt's side. Just try and maybe take some divergence. He has the Fire Rod in hand. He knows that in this case he can basically go to the back of Skull Woods and potentially take down another dungeon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking to see, it looks like we do have at least one small key for Skull Wood, so routing this shouldn't be too terrible for these guys once they get in there.
Yeah, unfortunately, for both these runners, no Canis Amaria quite yet, no mitts, so we can't end up doing at least the vanilla big key chest, I guess like the nice and fast way.
The fun way.
That's right, yes, the random possible way. But of course, those of you who may have visited Matt's stream a little bit more frequently, you know that room stands zero chance against him.
That's our first bottle over on Matt's side here in Skull Woods, but I also saw the nice swirly coin known as Bombos. Oh no, Matt! Apparently getting knocked into the Wallmaster. That's never a great feeling unless you're trying to do that.
Yeah, and in this case, we did have an early mirror, so no death warping, Wallmaster elevator rides necessary in this case. So Matt's gonna take a try too in order to get basically this chest here in Skull Woods. Hopefully, without some beams, anything else in his way, going to be able to get that very valuable map to Ganon's Tower in this case.
All right, so Jet making the play to North Dark World as well. We're going to see maybe he decides to check Catfish. It looks like he's going to. So this is, potentially a little bit of a swinging moment. Yeah, a little bit of a swinging moment here. If something major is here, it could be a good bit of time before we see Matt come back to this area.
Yeah, no, that's certainly true. I mean, so coming up basically the north version. Oh, good, another map in this case. Coming up basically to the north route of Dark World, right? You saw that Matt basically hookshot his way over to Graveyard Ledge. Since Matt's already kind of done Zora this area, I mean, he might want to come back for Powder if he has the flippers. But yeah, Catfish at this point, I would say certainly probably one of the more isolated checks that Matt has remaining.
Oh, that is,
okay.
If you're pulling for Matt, that is not what you're going to want to see on Catfish. But Ice Rod, that is a very good find for Jet, because with that being kind of out of the way and only really locking one thing being Trinex, the boss of TR, that's a solid find for Jet at this point.
Yes, that is quite, yes. We talk about Ice Rod hunts, so Jet certainly has found his one and only Ice Rod, as we just saw that was on Catfish. Matt, he's gonna have to probably, hone up his instincts a bit more in this case.
Yeah, for sure. So Jet's gonna be kind of making the same plays we've seen Matt do. Matt is gonna be getting this small key and heading into the boss, Mothula. Now we do see that nice C at the top left, so we know this is going to be another one of those coveted crystals.
Yeah, and we just see that Matt did try and purposely get rid of his sword beams, just so, you know, Mothula is one of the few bosses that actually does take fighter sword damage. So you certainly want, in this case, gold sword or tempered sword to count for your hits, as opposed to, like, maybe, like, the beams. Got a very nice, not only, as you said, just mentioned, a crystal, we got a nice prize of a big key to Misery Mire, certainly a requisite big key that is definitely required in order to beat the dungeon. No mitts, no flute quite yet, so which means that we can't actually make use of it, but we do know that those items will eventually come.
Yeah, we don't know when, but
Yes.
they will show up. I guarantee it. I stand by it.
That's right. Yes. Commentators guarantee means it'll absolutely happen.
And unfortunately, since we didn't find mitts in the back of Skull Woods, we are going to have to walk out very slowly. But luckily, you know, both of these guys are going to be doing the same thing there, so not really a time loss or anything. But yeah, I guess next is going to be Village of Outcasts while we see Jet, you know, handle Skull Woods.
Yeah, and you know, so I guess one of the features of Aghanim access for Dark World means that, well, we're still missing, you know, one of those like very strong Titan's Power mitts gloves, you know, like the gold ones that we would really like to see. We would also really like a hammer that would show up at some point, you know, especially if we're gonna go into Thieves Town.
Hammer would be nice. You know, right now, going into Thieves Town, not a big deal. No small key, no big key, so it's just a free 4 checks. Yeah, I say that as Matt walks right by it, but he might peek his head in there. He's probably just gonna wait to see if something major shows up here.
I mean, like, what happens if he finds a, you know, big key to Thieves Town in, you know, in Chess Game that just happens to be a fire shield instead?
And then when you walk in and there's no hammer to be had or a small key, then you have a decision on your hands.
Yeah. Alright, yeah. Meanwhile, though, Jet looks like, you know, he's just, retracing Matt's footsteps, just because Matt was here just a little bit earlier than Jet, just because, you know, Jet decided to take a slight divergence and explore the Pod Eastern area. Of course, you know, with basically everything, you know, that Jet has, a gold sword, a small key, you know, a fire rod in this case, we're basically going to clear up, and Jet's going to claim his first crystal.
And we saw over on Matt's side, we did get a small key to Hyrule Castle, kind of a moot point at this point, but, you know, it has to be there for logic purposes and stuff.
Yeah, so we definitely can get, what is it, like a sword or something? Forgot what it was already back in Zelda Cell.
Yeah.
That was probably, like, the one thing of note.
Alright, so a big key to Desert shows up in that 4th chest of Thieves. So, nice find. We don't have a way into Desert just yet, but we do have that, so that's always a welcome thing. Jet, meanwhile, taking on Mothula and making very quick work.
Fast. Yeah, Jet's gonna claim, of course, his big key to Misery Mire and his crystal. So most likely, of course, in this case, just because we haven't really gotten anything new out of Jet's side as compared to Matt, so he most likely will also take the begrudgingly slow walk outside, out back to, you know, the front of Skull Woods and get the chest, and then head out to the Village of Outcasts.
And another bottle, so that's going to be 2. It's nice to have those safeties, I guess. You know, we're still on green mail, so, you know, we talked about the offensive power these guys have with being on gold sword, but defensively, they are still kind of fragile themselves. So I'm sure having a goo or 2 is a welcome thing at this point.
Yeah,
just in
certainly. Case. Yeah, certainly glass cannons at this side for both. Dark World, of course, you know, doesn't matter, you know, at what point you're basically here. Enemies will hit, you know, quite strongly in this case. And the gold sword, of course, is not always going to be able to protect you from everything. Yeah, Matt dug up 20 rupees, not even going to bother picking it up. No mitts, no hammer, means, you know, even though we're kind of over here, we're not going to be able to do any type of the smith chain in this case, so Matt's probably going to just try and wrap up his overworld, like, mirror checks. Stumpy and make his way over to Hype Cave.
Yeah, and we are kind of running low on things. You know, both of them skipped Agina. And if something major like the hammer is at Agina, you might feel a little bad about that showing up. I don't really think hammer is going to unlock too terribly much for us. We do have a lot of checks, I'm kind of just speculating a little bit. We've got Hype Cave and we got Stumpy here, so we'll see what we can find.
Oh, jeez. Alright, so Stumpy has a cape, which of course is really nice, for, again, a little bit more defense, safety. Of course, we did see a small key on Bumper Ledge, so that is now, of course, going to be in logic. Not sure when, I guess, either Matt or Jet will decide to make their way over there.
Yeah,
however...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was actually speculating. It's because we know that Jet found the ice rod on Catfish. Maybe Bumper Ledge will be a little bit more incentive for Matt to kind of go back over to like North Dark World.
It's possible. It's going to depend heavily on what's inside this Hype Cave as we get a chest turn with 10 arrows, 20 rupees, a heart container, and there's another big key to the Tower of Hera.
Tower of Hera. So Matt has already Hera potted up. He did claim, his first crystal. This is actually going to be pretty good for, so if something is Hera Big Chest, Matt was able to kind of bypass it in order to claim his crystal prize, but, once Jet kind of goes over to Hype Cave, he's going to be able to go up the normal way, and, of course, if you guys are rooting for Jet or rooting for Game 3, and if something, is big in Hera, and Hera Big Chest, is going to be very advantageous for Jet.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Matt's going to be giving back a good chunk of time here, heading over to the pod area to be checking things out here. We do see that Ice is one of our 5/6s, and we do see that Swamp and Mire are crystals as well. So that's more pieces of that puzzle we need.
I'm trying to remember if Matt ended up talking to Sahashala to find out the green pendant because he was over here. I guess I'm not sure. Maybe
I don't think either of them did.
That. Yeah, very, very interesting. Because I think I want to say that both of them ended up talking to Saha in their last scene. So I guess we're just gonna find out, the fun way when the green pendant drops from one of our bosses, or we ended up getting a map for that dungeon.
Yeah, I mean, talking to an NPC, it's a time waste a lot of times.
This is rando. Yeah, we don't do text boxes in this game. You want to read, go play NMG.
Oh man, at least in the Saha room, you can't map when you're trying to get rid of the text box. So that's always a nice thing.
That is true.
I saw chat speculating about the Hera Small and then the Hera Big showed up. I mean, honestly, that Hera Small, if that's on Bumper Ledge, that might be a push to send Matt back to Hera. I mean, that doesn't mean anything's going to be there, but it might push him back there.
Yeah, I'm right. At this point, Matt probably is really looking. I mean, I guess both of them are right. They're looking for mist. They're looking for a hammer. Flippers would also be something potentially pretty good. Just because we have both the Swamp Small and the Swamp Big, right? So once they basically can get in there, it's going to be another 10 items. We do know Swamp is a crystal. Yeah, it's going to be another 10 items available for them.
Yeah, and I mean we need something.
Something. That's right.
Running really low on the checks. We'll see what shows up in a minute.
Yeah, so I mean, right, what do we have left in this case that's kind of available to us? We have that small key, on Bumper Ledge that we don't know what key that is. As you mentioned earlier, we have Gina. We saw Catfish, from Jet's side, which has her ice rod that Matt, at some point really needs to go over and get. What else do we really have left on our hands?
Not a whole lot. I'm wondering if this is gonna be. Are we gonna get it? Nope. I was hoping maybe Jet would go down to Agina and give us that little bit of information, but I was debated. That's not happening.
Yeah. Now, of course, there's nothing stopping him from going back down. Maybe he wants to check out Hype Cave in this case, maybe before making his way over. But yeah, I mean, Agina is also, in this case, pretty out of the way, right? We don't have a book for desert. We don't have don't have a flute. Travel anywhere faster. We don't have anything right now to get to you. No flute, no boots. These guys are really just holding left at this point to get everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, no flute, no boots, all the problems. Now here's a different little bit of routing here. So Matt has a small key and is going to use it.
Interesting. All right.
For Hellway. We'll see if anything shows up. Just $20. So.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah. So of course, in logic, I think this is locked by all the other pot smalls, all 6 of them. So, well. At least Matt knows in this case, but yeah, I think this is. I think you alluded to this earlier. Potentially this is going to be a little bit of muscle memory on Jet's side in order to be able to come to Hammer Yum from the south. That's going to make things a little bit nicer. Yeah,
for sure. I'm really feeling there's something pretty major. I think in. Oh no, Matt! Just a little late on that bomb, but something major's got to be in Hera. There's got to be some kind of progression, something to kind of. Get the wheel turning for the seed. We've hit a very prevalent bottleneck here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess I'd be curious after this. Matt's going to get his, basically the remaining 2 checks here in pod, and not going to be anything useful. And then, where is he going to head to next at this point?
Alright, so Jet gonna be climbing up Hera, Matt gonna be saving and quitting. This could be Catfish to Bumper?
Ooh,
okay. Could just be a mere... Nope, alright, we're going somewhere.
Yeah, well, we did start, he did save and quit, so we are going to start in the Dark World. He could have mirrored, basically, and tried to, save and quit somewhere else, but yeah, this might actually be, potentially, this is, you're right, Dante. We're going to probably get a visit to Catfish, followed by Bumper Ledge.
It's possible. Now, this is a key point here. I'm pretty sure something's got to be in this Hera Big, and it is. Those are the mitts.
Oh, those are the Titans
that's very
mitts.
Good for Jet. Yeah, Jet putting this off. Very good play, working out really well for him this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so of course with the mitts, the fact that he is right here, on Death Mountain, he is going to basically do, the rest of like the Dark Death Mountain checks, right? Be able to get Hookshot Cave, Clipper Bunny Cave, gonna be able to take a sneak peek as to what is in, it's our entry medallion to Rock, and we put the small key. We potentially can make our way in there, assuming we have one of our necessary medallions.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, let's see. I saw wall kicks in chat earlier as we see Jet taking down Moldorm super quick. The Gold Sword really helping out with that. But we do have, we do have all of the logical keys. Like, we've got both keys and the big key for ice. Like, do you want to sequence break that? We don't have the flippers, but like, how strongly is that calling you at this point?
Yeah, no, this is actually a very interesting question. We do know that of course the flippers are gonna have to show up, as we just said. Logically speaking, we do need that entry into Ice Palace, and we of course need it for Swamp. And maybe the likelihood, right, of being able to actually go mode Ice Palace in 80 keys maybe isn't gonna be that high anyway, and there are gonna be 8 items in there for basically you to take out. So
yeah. Also, this is gonna be really good for Jet here. Going to be able to get Kane. I totally forgot.
Right.
It was so early.
Right.
It was so early.
Yeah, both of them
that we saw
taking a peek. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so of course Jet, very well-minded in this case to make sure that he remembers all of the things I could see on the map. Just expecting a rock. Certainly would have it be very nice to be able to have it for Ice Palace.
And we did see a blue mail over on Jet's side too. So that is, we're still at what, 8 hearts, 9 maybe.
Yeah,
so
not even a full row at this point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I don't expect anything to go wrong for these guys, but it's always nice to have that little extra security blanket to feel comfy with.
Yeah, that's right. So I would like to also mention that Matt did end up picking up a small key to Desert and Akina. So. The fact that he will have it potentially for Desert may or may not have it, when Jet may or may not have it, just depending on when he ends up going over there.
Ooh.
Ooh,
These are
yeah,
some good items
especially-
showing up. Finally, the game's opening up to us. All right, so Pod Big Key, and the we're getting ready to get Kane as well, and we may have our Meyer entry requirement. We've already got the we got the flute now showing up, and we've got the big key to Meyer. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that certainly is something. So Jet did end up taking a sneak peek on what is entry medallion for Turtle Rock. It is unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it is Quake. So we are going to have to go find, in this case, our third medallion for the evening. Alright, Matt, though, looks like he realizes that he does not have any other locations pretty much that's available to him, I guess outside of, Bumper Ledge, that he knows he's probably going to be something here in Hera. So try and set up this Hera pot. And then he's going to be, I don't know, pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised to basically find his mitts. So most likely he will also kind of track basically over exactly all of what Jet just did on Dark Mountain.
Yeah, for sure. And and this kind of is like one of the really awesome things about Rando. These guys have taken
Only one
very.
thing, Dancy? I think there are other things that are awesome with Rando.
well, yeah, but like these guys have taken very vast routes, and obviously they're kind of ending up at almost the exact same spot. With Jet in the lead by a small margin, nothing insurmountable by any stretch, but obviously from our vantage point, Jet is looking really good.
Yeah. Right. So Matt, of course, just picking up his Titan's mitts. He's basically going to do some of the rest of the Dark Death Mountain stuff. He's going to be able to pick up his flute, his pod big key, and I guess maybe if of course you're rooting for Matt's side, the fact that Jet does now have the flute and he can kind of backdoor into desert, that Aegina's check may not be very prevalent on his mind to basically do before desert, and so because Matt does actually have the desert small when he goes into desert, and if something's there, that actually could be another it could be another advantage for Matt at this point.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really see Jet skipping that. It maybe doesn't do it in like the exact optimal order from our vantage point. But I don't see Jet skipping that, and he'll probably be getting that. No problem.
Yeah, and I will say that just based on what we've seen so far, Jet has been very thorough in this case, not leaving a single thing behind, including this very mystery small key that we're gonna have a bumper ledge.
All right, so we're getting this small key. It's another pod key, but okay. I mean, we're gonna need one of those to beat the dungeon. With everybody using up all of theirs to check items, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in Jet's shoes, I think, next time you visit Pod, unless you find another key, you use that one to clear the dungeon, because it's got to be done at some point.
Alright, and looks like the Jet back here in Village Outcast. It's like this is going to be a smith chain after picking up some mitts. So, maybe this is. And right now, what are we still missing? We're still missing a hammer. That would actually be, that would open up things, I guess in this case, quite a bit. Thieves' Town Big Key would also be something that would be, pretty nice to have.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'm sitting here trying to think, I mentioned ice earlier, with everything, but we don't even have a hammer. Like, what is this seed? I'm trying to figure out where is that going to be.
Yeah, that the seed was so generous, with us the first time. We got both Castle Tower small keys so early. We got that lamp, right? So that means no Castle Tower small key hunt today. But now, we're basically there was been a lot of just like trickling breadcrumbs. When we found mitts pretty late. We found in this case, like flute pretty late. Just ended up getting a book from the smith, for better or for worse.
I mean, that would have been useful, a little while ago before we got our mitts,
both up there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess at least there is maybe a little bit of solace, for Jet. It looks like he is actually walking down the purple chest, so he is going to be able to check, Bobble's tablet alongside just with that newly found book that he got.
Yeah, and he's gonna be right there at Aegina's cave too. That'll give him that desert small if he decides to go in there.
That is very true. All right, Matt, activated flute. Not even going to, in this case, bother with anything else. He is diving straight into Mire. As you mentioned earlier, right? We have, in this case, the big key to Mire. We have a small key to Mire. We have the requisite Bombos medallion that Matt just ended up checking for us. So it's going to be, and we have the key to Samaria that we ended up getting just from, Floating Island. Flippers, also a really nice sight to see.
Indeed, it is. There's $20 over on Bombo's tablet. We still have Ether tablet in play. Book. A lot of times book is that item that runners have a hard time grasping. Is it progression? Is it bait? It seems to always. It's like a Schrodinger item. It always decides to be what you don't want it to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, so I think right now, outstanding, as we just saw on Jet's side was what we haven't seen on Jet or Matt's side is that, as you just mentioned, Ether tablet, right? We saw Bombo's tablet on Jet's side, which was, Matt's basically not going to ever miss that 20 rupees if he never goes back. And of course, with Mitts, with Flute, with the mirror, we do have Desert Palace access. So yeah, just that last outstanding thing that we actually don't know about is going to be that Ether tablet.
So Jet's going to be getting his flippers here very shortly, and I'm going to assume just going to go ahead and clear out Mire, similar to how Matt is doing. Just the way this is kind of leading you, it's kind of a I don't know. The seed is almost holding your hand, telling you where to go at this point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're kind of, we got basically like one item basically like at a time, really does seem like, well, okay, I guess this one item opens up this one other thing. Let me go do that. Picking up half magic, certainly really nice luxury to have, probably. I see the muscle memory, from probably his, his NMG days, in this case, thinking, oh, you know what, I'm always going to pick up this full magic roll, but, he just got half magic, so he doesn't need anything else.
Yeah, muscle memory is bad like that sometimes for everybody.
So this is actually pretty interesting. Yeah, so, you see Jet here in Desert Palace. One thing potentially, is that, well, if Matt is fortunate enough to find the boots here in Mire, he is going to be able to guarantee himself that item on the torch. Jet is probably going to take what I would consider to be a reasonable shot at not thinking that, in this case, like the Desert Palace torch key item required. Never mind.
Ooh, that's
very interesting.
That's an interesting. I mean, it's good knowledge to have. So Jet knows when he has boots, he's probably gonna have to come here. We've already found one of our potentially two bait big keys of the seed, but there are plenty of required ones left. So good chance will be we're gonna need that key at some point.
Yeah, and right now, actually, I'm trying to think back to, of course, looking at the awesome job that both of our trackers, Tofile and Akuhash, have been doing. So which big keys, are still kind of outstanding, right? Looks like actually probably the only one that we potentially may not need to care about is going to be that Skull Blitz big key. We are going to for sure need, Easter Palace big key. We're going to for sure need the Thief's Town big key. So. Yeah, meanwhile though, Jet, of course, big key and small key in hand, gonna basically clear out the back of Desert, and most likely, after this, he's gonna hop straight into Mire, Matt probably gonna switch, spots basically with Jet after this.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, one of the big rules, and I've heard this from Jet a long time ago, A, B, C, D, always be clearing dungeons, and we have that opportunity here with Desert and Mire, so might as well.
Hey, Matt just found the hammer, probably our last major ticket item that we're actually looking for in terms of just accessibility, which was in Mire Bridge chest. So that hammer is going to open up a ton of stuff.
Where's wall kicks? Ice Palace. I think it's
Ice Palace.
time we go there. And now there's
Yeah,
the small key to Thieves Town on Landmo for Jet. So getting another crystal. That's gonna, put everyone's mind at ease, when they have to dive into Thieves, because, we can check it, and, because we don't have a big key yet.
Yeah, finding hammer and small key before the big key is always really nice for peace of mind. You know, in this case, you don't have to basically leave anything behind. So, I very much still believe that the boots will show up hopefully soon. In this case, other than the boots in this case, let's take some inventory and what else do we really need for go mode here? I know we're probably gonna need we know that we need the quick nine. Definitely need a couple of big cuts. Man, actually, I don't think they actually need necessarily all that much.
Yeah, there's not a ton left as we see a small key to GT over on Matt's side off of Vidi, handling Vidi with relative ease. Like we talked about that gold sword, making these bosses pretty fragile overall. Yeah. And having cape, obviously, and half magic just kind of makes everything a lot nicer.
Yeah, I think right. According to also to our trackers, Matt has 3 bottles, at least 1 blue, at least 1 red. So he's probably set for safeties for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I don't see either of these runners at this point. We're at 9 and 11 hearts, both on blue mail. Both of these guys are they should be totally fine the rest of the way.
Of course, at this point, Jet is basically retracing some of Matt's stuff, picking up his half magic. Let's see in this case if he actually also picks up the full magic pot. He absolutely avoids it. I would say actually that's very well done.
Yeah, muscle memory. Sometimes you can overcome it. But so Clear Mouse, we're retracing steps. I jokingly mentioned it, but you mean Ice Palace? Are we going to find progression there?
I mean,
are we going to actually get something there?
So what do we have open at this point? After, in this case, Jet, basically gets through the rest of Mystery Mire and picks up his hammer. We've got Ice Palace, Mollusk. I certainly can imagine we can find, a big key or two. I would really like to be able to find those boots. Swamp Palace, of course, is actually open to us now. We've got the mirror, got the small key, got the big key.
Yeah.
We've got the hammer, so none of this, let's drain the dam and go over all the, all the intro stuff just for that 1 or 2 pesky checks.
Yeah, we're finally at a point where I guess we can make some decisions, maybe have some variance and see,
making
maybe
decisions in rando? No way.
Yeah, instead of just following the path, what are we, what can we do? So, kind of being said in chat here, Swamp has a ton of checks. Ice has a decent amount of checks. Most of them are actually quickly obtainable, by doing the icebreaker route. So, kind of in a go mode-ish fashion of going pretty quick through the dungeon. So, big decisions coming up here for these guys in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, so I guess I'm curious, so we do know that Swamp has, more items, I guess, available right over Ice Palace. But again, the 2 of those checks though are on left side. So would you do you think there's a preference, I guess, to do Swamp over Ice or Ice over Swamp at this point? I mean, we are still missing a lot of stuff.
Both are going to be required, just because they're both crystals. And at this point, the optional thing is the 2 items over on the left side of Swamp, and that's kind of that could be a swinging point yet again in this match. It's yet to be seen, but the I think personally, if I'm in this situation, maybe I'm just going to go ahead and do Ice. Like I was saying, the go mode versus full clear, given their loadout, isn't that drastically different. So we'll see what they decide to do, though.
Yeah. I think at this point, there was actually something that Matt mentioned at the very end of his last seed, was that he was really hoping in this case that well. So we still need, in this case, GT Big Key, eventually, because we will, in this case, we'll have to climb GT because this is all dungeons, but
Yes.
because in this case, Thieves Town and Eastern are pendants, it is potentially likely, or possible, not to say likely, that, once we end up getting all of our crystals, we go into GT, we're gonna have to go Big Key hunting. I think probably for both these runners' sakes, they probably want to find those big keys sooner rather than later. So in this case, we can actually just get the big key to GT and just go straight up.
I agree 100%. That's what you want to hope for. A lot of times, chat loves to see the craziest item placement, and being a runner of the game myself, like knowing what these guys go through potentially, it's like you don't really want to see that.
Yes. All right, looks like so after actually, everything is said and done, Jet basically just wrapping up Misery Mire, he's going to basically make a very similar decision for what Matt just did, but looks like Matt is choosing to dive into Ice Palace first.
Yeah, very solid fight there from Jet, going to get his GT small, and yet another crystal to add to the collection.
Yeah, the good news, of course, about, I guess, having Gold Sword in Ice Palace is that at least, everything dies pretty quickly.
It does.
We do have at least Key to Samaria, so Matt looks like he is actually going to at least do some version of Icebreaker here. Please, Boots, show up soon.
Yeah, Boots would just be nice if they would show up. But another small key here for Pod. I want to say that's all
nice.
6 that we have seen at this point. So potentially we don't need to, Matt doesn't need to go back to Bumper Ledge, but Jet most likely is going to be getting that on his
true.
route. So he will have all 6 when it comes down to that. But a little bit of another thing of divergence. We were talking about that. So again, potentially interesting decisions leading to things. Jet is going to Swamp Palace. Matt is 4 checks so far into Ice.
Yeah, thank you, Compass.
Nothing yet.
The compasses in these modes really, I think, do help everyone basically count along in this case. And actually, I guess for what it's worth, I think when Jack was kind of like revisiting some of the dungeons, and when he did have compasses for them, it was a very fast and easy way to basically see how many items he had left, kind of going into them again. Yeah, alright, it's 5th check-in to Ice. Other than that pod key, which of course, is going to be very helpful from that. Yeah, so far, nothing else. So, Jet is finally going to be able to make his way into Swamp Palace. Hopefully he's going to have a little bit better luck finding items.
Yeah, and I'm trying to weigh out our options here, for 100% go mode. We're about, I think, 4 or 5-ish items from hitting that mark. So the question on everyone's mind right now is, do you do Left Side Swamp?
Alright, so most likely the answer is probably going to be yes, just because you are going to be missing so many things. It looks like Matt unfortunately probably missed his bomb jump over to get to the other side of Free Sword Chest, so maybe he is just going to head straight into Cold Stare in this case. Alright, meanwhile though, Jet into the two checks into Swamp Palace. Looks like at least nothing so far. Unfortunately both runners still no boots for some nice mobility. But at least Jet still does have Key to Samaria, so he's gonna be able to do his diver down relatively easily.
Oh yeah, and I was noticing that chat was a little concerned for Matt here. Matt taking down Cold Stare super quick. It looks like Matt maybe missed a bomb jump to get to Iced Tea. So we are
I think he was trying to go back to Free Sword Chest. Like he got his Iced Tea chest, which I think was like a green rupee or something. But he was trying to bomb jump back over to get Free Sword, and yeah, unfortunately, didn't quite make it. So not sure if he's going to go back. Looks like, you know what? Assuming Jet, I guess, full clears Ice Palace, we're gonna basically see what Free Sword Chest has on Jet's side.
You know what? That chest is dead to Matt now. So,
yep.
if you know if it's something big, that's game. Like I think honestly that is game. We're too far in at this point. You know, given something really wild at the end, but you know, we'll wait and see. Jet's doing left side. This is going to be 2 more checks, so we are going to get all 10 items in Swamp today. So no left side gambles.
Yeah, and of course Matt very shortly following in Jet's footsteps in this case. So of course Jet does have a very early lead just because he ended up choosing Swamp Palace first. So we're going to basically be able to see all of the items on Jet's side before basically Matt gets to them.
Yeah, and you know, just kind of taking quick inventory of what everyone's done here. So Jet has cleared more checks in the game right now than Matt. It's yet to be seen that if that book from Smith is actually going to be needed. Matt maybe has a little bit of incentive to do Smith Chain now that we have Hammer for Hammer Peg, but you know,
that's true.
It's, you know, for Jet, it's a one-off. It's you know, we're just kind of in that really awkward spot of the seed. I think the hour mark is always when it's a little awkward for the AD key stuff.
So I guess I'm curious. You know, you did mention hammer pegs, which of course just triggered my memory. You know, we did see powder on Zora Ledge that both runners ended up kind of unfortunately, you know, passing by. I mean, you know, and of course both runners ended up turning in their mushroom pretty early, so you know, none of that, you know, fake powder possibility. But I mean, is that also something that, well, you would consider? I mean, it is in this case a logical option for you, but again, you know, no boots to kind of even like help, you know, speed up the process.
It's very far out of the way at this given point. You know, if we get boots and we've cleared out our dungeons, then you know it's a little more appealing. But at least for now, I totally see why these guys haven't like made a special trip out there just for that, because of the time investment.
Yeah. So, alright. So, unfortunately, the entire front part of Swamp Palace does not actually seem to have any real value. Jet is making his way basically down to, you know, 4 dive down, trying to give us the checks for the back of Swamp. Alright, 3rd time's a charm, basically, and nails it right through and gets 20 rupees and okay, so nothing so far in the back of Swamp. We have 2 more available options for us.
I mean, Swamp is completely a bust so far, you know, left and front. So it's just these last 2 items. Are they going to be something important? And there we go, big key to GT.
All right, that is a very requisite big key. You know, we are going to have to defeat, you know, 3 more Aghanims today, in addition to the one that both Jet and Matt has already defeated.
Is it 3 more, or is it 1 plus 2?
Oh, you know, I'm not very good with math, Dante. I'm gonna have to, you know, defer to your expert judgment and counting for that. Unless somehow we get a magic compass, basically, to GT.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. But Jet gonna be taking on Argus now. Gold Sword kind of melting these Argus puffs. You know, I think the Gold Sword, everyone memes about it being a butter sword, and you know, the popcorn around Argus. I think it's a fitting combo, but
yeah. Oh, unfortunately, it looks like Argus actually landed just not in the right position for Jet. So unfortunately, he's gonna have to take another cycle. But otherwise, no. A very we're gonna get through. Hey, look at that! We found the Quick Medallion. That is our ticket. Yeah, that is our ticket into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, at this point, I think, you know, if I'm Jet, I'm gonna go to Ice, and then you know, I'm really considering Turtle Rock, and you're hoping that, you know, one of those TR Smalls decides to show up, but
I'm sure nothing's in Lava Chest. No, I'm sure everything will be fine.
Well, I mean, right now, both runners only have 2, so... the dungeon is not clearable as we stand, but I mean, kind of similar to Pod. We've, you know, I'm sure there's been a vanilla-ish TR small key at some point or another.
That's actually a very good point. You know, we you know, yeah, as you just said, you know, we just definitely joke about Pod keys, you know, being in Pod, certainly not stopping TR keys being in TR. going back up the mountain as well, as you did mention, Jet does have a book, so he potentially also could check either tablet. That is going to be an additional option for him.
Indeed. And trying to kind of... So, I'm not sure what info Jet has. Going kind of off of his tracker and the tracker we have on the restream, I'm sure he could probably put 2 and 2 together after this dungeon. But, I mean, if we do get a third TR small, we're technically able to access GT at that point.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, looking at basically all of the dungeons that we've cleared, and of course on, Matt said, we see that in this case, we have Eastern, in this case, what is it, Pod and Thieves Town as our pendants. Yeah, we're going to be able to basically go into Ganon's Tower at this point.
Yeah, not saying that that's like what we should do, but it is an option. It's something to be thinking about.
Yes, it is another possibility. Yeah, we were talking about how early like the seed was just kind of like stringing us along, kind of like telling us where to go. Well, we've got options now for better or for worse.
Yeah, and like that's what's so scary about with rando. A lot of times when you race it is you kind of don't want one of these linear seeds to get very wide open for like 1 to 2 items at the end, because then you have some very tough choices. I've said that a lot tonight, but the later in the seed it gets, the tougher those choices become.
Yeah. Speaking of potentially tough choices, Jet is coming up to Freezer Chest, which is like the one, very shortly, as it probably looks like he's going to check Ice Tea first, but yeah, this is going to be the one check potentially that, if something is here, is going to be, I would say, pretty advantageous for Jet.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Matt heading into the portal here, potentially going to be doing Smith Chain, and if so, that is basically going to give that time back to Jet, where Jet did this earlier.
Yeah, looks like maybe a quick detour up to, as quick as you're going to be able to get a detour to Bumper Ledge to pick up his final pod key. But yeah, as you did also mention, the fact that Matt also has the hammer while he's over here, he is going to make an additional check of hammer pegs in this case.
All right, everybody be quiet. We don't need another runner failing this bomb jump. We're gonna see what this chest is, I hope. Jet's got the bomb in the right position. All right, we've made it. What is this chest?
What do we have?
How important is it?
All right. Big sigh of relief, for Matt fans. In this case, just a piece of heart. Matt most likely is not gonna miss that one particular item. It's just gonna hope that the lingering what was in that chest isn't gonna be able to haunt him for too much longer.
Now, what I love about us knowing that we all kind of like collectively say, all right, well, the race is not going to be decided by that one chest. Matt doesn't know that, and I'm sure Matt is not feeling so great.
Yeah, speaking of, alright, so Matt actually not going to do any of the Smith Chain in this case. I'm actually just wondering, if that was, as we just mentioned, part of his decision, right? As part of being thorough that we saw in Jet's side. He ended up doing the Smith Chain. Smith Chain, of course, does end up taking, quite a bit of time, especially without boots. Mirror, of course, and boots do help, but, if Matt had, thought about, I had to double dip Castle Tower twice, I just left a chest in Ice Palace. Well, here we are in Pod. Maybe this is going to be a better worthwhile investment at this time.
Yeah. Now, this is the time I think a lot of runners, you start having to calculate potentially your win condition, especially if you've had things, what you think your win condition is, especially if you've had a few things go wrong. Now, we've seen a few things go wrong from Matt in this seed. Jet, however, has been very thorough. A lot of things have just, not gone his way per se, but he has capitalized on every opportunity that was laid in front of him, execution-wise, sequence breaking, stuff like that. So things, if I'm Jet, I'm feeling pretty good about everything, and I'm not really feeling like I'm giving up too much time. So, he's going to make this play now, which I think this a super smart play to do at this point. We didn't see Boots in Swamp. or ice. So, you know, at this stage, if you're going to get powder and route in and try to do hammer pegs too, then you might as well grab this powder.
Yeah, no, this is definitely something that I think Jet probably, you know, was actually very mindful of. The fact that he, you know, basically made this routing decision, you know, actually probably speaks, you know, to what you actually just mentioned, is that, you know, he's probably feeling pretty good about his decision so far. And yeah, and you know, at this point he has powder, so he is not necessarily going to have to like isolate anything. In this case, he's going to be able to check hammer pegs and powder all together.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so Jet starting up on the mountain, getting the flute out. So we are going to potentially, like we were talking about, make that play. Gonna make a pit stop over in pod first. So this is a good. I think a good routing call here. He's got all the keys, so he can leave everything, you know, leave everything like handled before he does anything too drastic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Actually, from our that very quick map check that Jet ended up doing, we actually did see that pod is actually in this case the green pendant. So before, basically, you know, we're gonna find out on that side also very shortly, just because the green pendant is physically gonna drop, you know, from the ceiling. Probably gonna turn that in as well before we, you know, kind of head off to anywhere else.
Yeah. So at this point, you know, these two. Kind of following each other's footsteps. This is going to be new. Obviously, it is a required thing. You know, if you're just tuning in, this is AD keys, or all dungeons key sanity. So we are going to have to complete every single dungeon. Even though we see that P at the top left corner, we know this is a pendant. And I guess, you know, it's not in play yet, but, you know, chat likes to talk about that dreaded pedestal.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few outliers of where, you know, something could be there, but it's very few and far between at this point.
Yeah, and right now, of course, you know, both runners ended up clearing out Skull Woods, you know, relatively early, you know, and so, you know, kind of getting over even to pull the pedestal is going to be quite the trek as well. Alright, looks like though just a very slight divergence just in terms of routing decisions. You know, Jet does not get a chance to check Harmless Hellway, you know, so he's going to probably take this opportunity to do that first. Most likely Hammer Young. In order to get the big chest, I think Matt, as we can see, 13 out of 14 checks. This is going to be his last remaining ones to get the pod big chest here.
Yeah, and this is kind of where, you know, using that key early in the front like he did is actually working out advantageous for his routing, because Matt actually had to check that chest in the front, and it was a little slower to do so. We just see a compass in that big chest, so, you know, no time lost really with both of these guys making that check.
Super worthwhile, of course, to get that compass to Misery Mire that I think both runners have full cleared at this point.
Yeah, at this point, you know, after we turn in this green pendant, you know, do you make the gutsy call and just go do Turtle Rock and hope a key or two shows up inside?
Oh, well, speaking of keys, hey.
Oh, well.
Well then, you know what, we're gonna put Turtle Rock on the table just for the time being, because I think Matt, you know, based on the fact that we just got the Thieves Town big key, which is another, by the way, big key that he's very happy to see. That's so excited that he decided to flute basically one over where he probably intended to go. Yeah.
Yeah, he fluted home to tell his uncle, look what I found, I'm excited.
That's right, yeah. Yeah,
it is very easy to accidentally, you know, go a little too far there, but yeah, you know, the Thieves Town play makes sense here. You know, there's more density around this too for Matt. So I'll be curious to see. I kind of expect Jet to do the same thing. It's a fully clearable dungeon. You can do absolutely every check in it versus that TR gamble. I don't really think there's a reason for Jet to be gambling at this point. So we'll probably see Jet follow suit.
Yeah, and of course, you know, I think at this point, probably Jet and Matt are just kind of hoping that the Eastern Palace big key is somewhere along the way that's not in GT, so they don't have to, you know, so again, once they basically get to GT, you know, they could basically just, you know, just do the climb. They don't have to, in this case, explore any of the basement.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, so 2 swipes of the Gold Sword, and Helmasaur King is down for Jet. Jet going to be getting that green pendant, and probably going to go right on over to Saha and turn it in.
So at this point, we need one more big key, potentially, which is just that Eastern Palace big key. There is a mystery big key on Desert Torch. Speaking of mysteries, where the heck are these boots? We're almost hour 30 in. We would really like to be able to, use that A button, for something.
They are a myth at this point. I think this is because they used boots last night, and now we have no boots. Ever.
Oh my gosh! What I mean, I didn't realize they were like a consumable. I thought they were, they were in our inventory and everything. Oh, hey, Matt, finding third Turtle Rock small key in Feast Town Attic. That is really great news. For both runners, Jess gonna be able to find that momentarily. But yeah, that third Turtle Rock small key is gonna make Turtle Rock much more appealing.
Yeah, so that's gonna be the smart play here. Jet following suit. Going to be getting that as well. So, it's not logically full clearable, but we can beat Trinex after this. We can go into Ganon's Tower. And at that point, we're kind of just looking boots and or Eastern Big for go mode.
Well, so boots for sure, because we really want to have boots. But whether or not they're logically required, I think they're required for fun. But I believe, something like the actual, requirement is Eastern Palace Big Key, which is actually, it's actually very interesting.
You have to, sometimes you just kind of have to understand that maybe what we want isn't. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And I know both of these guys by this point are probably like, all right, pumping's hard. My D-pad's giving out, but they're both doing great. As Matt falls in a hole.
Yeah, I was gonna say these Baris though are having none of it. Certainly, by this point, many runners probably are, accustomed to basically be able to dash through those conveyor belts and Baris, but yeah, not today.
All right, so Jet making his way up to the attic, gonna get that TR small up there. Meanwhile, Matt taking on Blind. Oh no, It wasn't a maiden after all. It is a boss.
Yeah, you know that Blind is an evil maiden boss because he tries to tell you and talk to you. So, and we don't want any of that in Brando.
That is probably the smartest way to put it. But Matt staying on script there, as we say, and doing very well. Getting that last pendant. So, not the last one, I'm sorry. Second pendant. We know where the last one is.
Second to last pendant, that's right. Everyone's correct here. Alright, Matt is nearing out of Thieves Town, probably pulling out the flute. We are, looks like we might be going up the mountain.
Meanwhile, this makes sense. Yeah. I would, I'd be doing the same thing. Let's go TR. There's 12 checks up in there, and we can get to 11 of them unless another key shows up.
Yeah. And of course, Matt, you're right. Basically, I think, it's just pretty well accepted at this point that, if you have 3 TR small keys and the TR big key, you just hope that there is nothing for you in the vanilla big key chest. But of course, again, another TR small key could just show up in Turtle Rock, in which case we are going to be able to check it. But yeah, right now, I think if we're really just looking for Eastern Palace big key, for technical, logical go mode,
yeah,
and hopefully we're going to find some boots along the way. This is definitely going to be something that is pretty appealing to you.
And it's really, it's tough because, once you beat TR, you're leaving one check there. We're not going to find a TR key up in GT or anything like that, given that it's a crystal. Mm-hmm. But, there are a couple of outliers left here in Light World. We do have Ether Tablet. We've talked about that a good bit. Mimic Cave could also be a thing, and it also...
right, yeah, that's right. Mimic Cave is
hammer
something
pegs.
That is available. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So right, and Jet is still kind of in the area, So Matt, of course, having not gone to visit Zora, Zora area again, picking up powder. Most likely Jet does have intentions to kind of finish up the rest of his check here in the Village of Outcast. But we definitely see that Matt, only having hammer pegs and smith chain, probably was much more incentivized to kind of skip that part, just go straight up the mountain.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying. Jet's played a very thorough, very very good as far as execution game goes. That was probably the worst way to word that, but doing very solid overall.
Jet's execution to his 12 hours has been quite good.
Yeah, there's no reason for Jet really to feel behind by any stretch, and as far as I'm concerned, he is not. Especially, if this is something like if it ends up being Boots and or Eastern Big, that's probably the game given where we are.
Yeah, alright, so looks like, okay, we got synced up 10 arrow pickups on both sides, one from Hammer Pegs and one from Chomp's Chest and Turtle Rock. We actually do see that conveniently, because that, Matt at some point picked up the compass to Turtle Rock, he has checked exactly 2 checks out of the 12. You just see that in this case, Matt has decided to at least temporarily skip out on, the right side of Turtle Rock for the roller room.
Yeah, that's a very interesting call. I kind of want to assume, as we see 10 arrows there on Magic Bat, I kind of want to assume this is maybe Matt's kind of I may have screwed up type play.
I was actually wondering, the same, something very similar, and and maybe this is something that is a corner that Matt is willing to temporarily cut. And of course, being one potential item for go mode, something, especially just something is along the way here, certainly very reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that thought that you just mentioned has certainly crossed my mind.
It's definitely it's an odd scenario. Now Jet's going to be heading and giving us an ether tablet check, which is another one of those outliers.
That's true.
Key Sanity gives us that opportunity that we don't normally see in TR. Now, a lot of times if you have Fire Rod, everyone's like autopilot thing. We talked about that muscle memory. It's just, all right, go do the right side unless you're in full go mode. But like you were saying, logically, we're one item away from the go mode. So it gives you that opportunity. Maybe it is on the path. Maybe I can forego that check.
Yeah, speaking of potentially, more go mode potential, Matt opted to not go outside, so no big chest, no mimic chest, mimic cave chest.
I'm actually shocked by that.
Alright, Jet picking up a small key to Skullwood. So so it looks like actually that book, that ether tablet had held so much mystique for us. It was just a technically required Skullwood small key.
I'm a little baffled at the skip of Mimic plus the big chest. Like you were saying, we could forego those right side ones, come back pretty quick right after beating Trinex. But I mean, hey, scared money don't make money, as they say. So Matt is going for it.
Alright, checking out 3 checks so far on Laser Bridge. Man, just absolute nothing useful for him. A little bit, hard piece, a little bit of extra money that we definitely don't need at this point. This is going to be very, very interesting, and especially, considering that, Jet's strategy and what we've seen so far from him has been, just thoroughness. Certainly could see him, clearing out Turtle Rock Roller Room, first time through, and given that we haven't found anything useful so far, he is going to do, go outside into Turtle Rock Big Chest and Mimic Cave as well.
Yeah, we'll see what Jet decides to do now. Matt with Gold Sword here taking down the first phase of Trinex pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Chat doing a lot of speculation of Matt's probably just beelining GT, which kind of makes sense in a way. There are, 22, 23 checks in the basement plus the climb. Very dense play. We've gotten, 3 of our 4 small keys. So most of it is in technical logic, if you want to call it that. But we do see silvers on Trinex, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's really have seen so. Yeah, so at least for Ganon and for the climb, we are going to be fully loaded at this point. There is nothing else that probably can help us offense wise.
All right, so right side TR a bust. don't. And Matt's not even doing it.
Matt is, you know what? So just like Freezer Chest and Ice Palace, well, you know, most likely, you know, Turtle Rock, Big Chest, and Mimic Cave are not going to be, you know, viable contenders, at least in the foreseeable future for Matt's additional checks.
Yeah, like, look, I gotta say, you know, this is the type of gamble I feel like you can take with a, you know, without any regrets. If you're up a game, you know, with Matt having a one game lead in this series, you know, if he loses because of this gamble, he, you know, or his play, whatever, he has a chance to, you know, to take game 3. Jet, meanwhile, I think is playing his game. You know, I've watched a lot of races with Jet. I've calmed a lot of races with Jet. This is very typical for him. Jet's a very good runner. You know, he's not going to give up time doing thorough checks. So,
yeah, and we definitely see that, you know, Jet's execution, so far, his game placement, you know, very, very solid. I certainly cannot really think of any opportunities for basically Matt to kind of like make up time, you know, against, you know, Jet's execution.
For sure.
Alright, looks like though nothing in Hope Room. Matt is continuing on to the right side, with the Canis Maria in hand. Don't necessarily worry about GT small keys for the time being. I mean, so Dancy, if you find boots in GT basement, are you leaving to go check out Desert Torch?
I don't know. I'm not gonna leave.
Is that too hard of a question?
I'm not gonna leave because I gotta beat GT, but I might be incentivized.
That is true.
If I'm in Matt's shoes, I might be incentivized to just say, all right, screw it, I'm gonna beat GT, and then I'm gonna run right to Desert and cross my fingers and hope for the best.
Alright, okay, so speaking of cross fingers, Jet is outside of Mimic Cave, so we are going to get 2 additional checks that, again, you know, might not see the light of day or the dark of night, you know, on Matt's screen. Alright, vanilla piece of heart, or not a vanilla piece of heart, but, you know, because we don't really know which heart piece that is, but alright, so nothing in Mimic Cave so far. We have one more chest, potentially that, you know, is, it could be a Jet's corner.
Oh, there's the boots!
Gosh, there are the boots on Jet's side at an hour 38. Okay, so what are you doing on Jet's side?
That's really good. That's really good for Jet.
So Jet's gonna be able to beat the rest of Turtle Rock on this case. So, are you going to stay and do GT? So you're probably gonna climb GT? Are you gonna do the rest of the basement? Are you gonna go check Desert Torch for that last big key?
Man, that's a really tough call. Jet's like basically full cleared the game. So I can't really think of a way for Jet to maybe skip that. GT's not the easiest thing to get back to, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Like, you know, we're bound to see a big key show up here in GT, but the question is it going to be Eastern, or is it going to be Skull Woods?
Now, of course, it still could be like the Smallwoods big key, you know, on Desert Torch, which then, you know, like the Eastern Palace big key is in Skullwood's big chest. We're not really gonna think about that scenario because I think it's actually kind of mean in this case. But so yeah, this is gonna be, you know, quite the discovery, you know, here as kind of Matt is making his way, you know, more so through the rest of the GT dungeon. It's like nothing so far though in Random Room. He's gonna keep continue his way over, probably check the vanilla, well, in this case the big chest of GT, go do Ice Armos. Would you do Tile Room? I assume you do Tile Room?
I think you have to. I could see scenarios of him skipping it, but I also see scenarios of, you know, like you kind of have to if you're banking on this. Because you've skipped so much with TR. There's, what, 3-4 items if you count Mimic Cave?
Oh yeah, that's true. Alright, just a regular piece of heart in GT Big Chest. Meanwhile, Jet finishing up Trinex and Lickety Split. Alright, so this is going to be another decision point for Jet. What is he going to do after this? Unfortunately, it looks like, yeah, no boots from Matt, which means like he can't do like a normal kind of like balk over to, you know, what we like are very accustomed to seeing.
I do think we see Jet climb. I think it's the more I think about it, I think it makes sense at this point. Oh no! Okay, he's gonna mirror.
He is leaving.
All right.
Yep, he is leaving.
I guess this is probably, kind of weigh it out. What's more worth, the mountain climb or climbing GT, or full clearing GT. So this is the moment. We're gonna see if this is going to be our Eastern big, and Matt's gonna be heading up the tower at this point.
Yeah, so certainly, everything that Matt is doing, well, in this case, looks like minus, basically everything in GT Basement, because we haven't seen anything that was really worthwhile. This climb, though, is absolutely 100% necessary. As we come up here, said moment of truth. Which big key is this? It is the big key to Eastern Palace. Alright, so it looks like boots were required for this seed so late, unfortunately, but looks like an hour 42 minutes in, Jet is officially in go mode.
Yeah, and that's a really good. So actually, I kind of like how he's doing this now. He's gonna go ahead and do Eastern. This actually makes a lot of sense because then he could just do GT and drop right into Ganon. So the heads up routing play here, because I was thinking, all right, well, we'll go beat GT and then we'll come back, and no, this is the correct play.
Yeah, no, yeah. So, and of course, yeah, there's nothing gonna say, so Jet, of course, yeah, made in this case the correct call to, basically leave Turtle Rock immediately. With those newfound boosts, he definitely remembered in this case that a big key was on the torch for desert, and happens to be in this case the bright one that he was looking for.
And honestly, Eastern's going to be a pretty quick dungeon. There's not even, I was thinking, is there anything Jet would want to check? And the answer is no. I mean, we've got silvers. We've seen both our armors. We've got blue mail. We've got a gold sword. I mean, we are stacked. Completely stacked. So
half magic, and of course, we've got how many potions to our name? 3 at this point. A couple of reds, a couple of blues, something like that. Yeah, you see that, that Eastern Palace big chest is just basically never going to get touched, by either runner at this point.
Alright, so Lambo 2 giving Matt a little bit of trouble. A couple extra cycles there, not a big deal though. And going to be heading up to head to the 2 Wizrobe rooms.
Yeah, half magic basically makes magic management significantly easier, at least to be able to do the rest of the climb. I guess unfortunately, I guess from Matt's side, right? No skipping out on Turtle Rock Big Chest, which means basically no boots for this climb. Jet's gonna have I would say certainly a more comfortable time, climbing.
Oh yeah,
a GT with boots.
Yeah, you got more muscle, and hey, there's our Skullwoods bid.
Yeah, there's our last big key of the game. Most likely that is going to be another big chest that's going to be unchecked for the remainder of the game.
All right, so that is all 3 pendants for Jet. All of our dungeons except 1 are completed. So now we got to go back to the mountain, and then the dark variety of the mountain, and then we're going to be climbing the tower on Jet's side too.
Yeah, and of course, Jet, finding, of course, go mode on Desert Torch means that he is not going to touch a single chest in the basement. Actually, looks like Matt basically did everything in the basement except for tile room. So of course, Jet's going to, I guess, overtake Matt actually very shortly here. Oh
yeah, for sure. There's like 0 chance I think Matt goes back to TR anytime soon, and even if he does, this is pretty much Jet's game to lose at this point.
So I guess if you're Matt, right? We just finished up basically the entire basement. We're gonna finish up Aghanim 2, which of course is required. You're gonna be landed on the pyramid. Well, where do you go first?
If I'm Matt, I'm probably gonna maybe check out, Pyramid Ferry. That is an option to him.
Oh, right?
That is open.
That is such a good point. Pyramid Ferry is a thing. Actually, did they check King's Tomb at all? No boots.
Well,
Matt can't even
no
check
boots.
King's Tomb. Never mind. There are no boots.
Yeah,
Never mind.
Clear Mouse, are you holding out on some new tech for us to open up?
No. I definitely am not aware, unfortunately. It's more of my wishful thinking that maybe there's a second pair of boots out there somewhere.
I mean, we did. We got the blue ones that let us swim. So.
Oh yeah. I guess. Well, I mean, Matt does have powder that he could go pick up from Zora.
Yeah, like, see, this is where when you've skipped a lot of stuff, when it doesn't work out for you, now you're tasked with making an even harder decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jet, just kind of in the catbird seat, he is just chilling, doing GT at this stage. Matt's got a lot of hard choices to make at this point. What do you want to do?
Yeah. So, all right, mirrored out. Back to the light world. Where are we headed first? Meanwhile, though, yeah, Jet. Again, this is going to be something that he's going to be, enjoying. For what's, relatively speaking, for the climb, he's going to be able to dash as far as he possibly can, basically here in Scotland.
Yeah, and this should be, fairly fast gauntlet for Jet too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this is probably the pyramid play over on Matt's side. We've got all the 5/6s.
Yeah. Yeah, meanwhile though, yeah, Jet is, we can actually blaze through the gauntlet in this case. We've got boost, we've got gold sword. Gold sword, maybe compared as to, tempered, probably doesn't do too much just in terms of, the individual rooms, just because most enemies ended up dying in one shot anyway with the gold sword, but I'm certain there's still gonna be some nice peace of mind.
Yeah, for sure.
One cycle, of course, one cycle for Lamo too. Yeah.
Always feels so nice when you have silvers and you're able to do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, successfully, right? Because I think if you get off timing for one of them, it's somewhat difficult to recover. So it's certainly better to have that first try. Matt, of course, remembering that he got in this. Oh no. I was gonna say. So he remembered. Yeah, he remembered that he beat Agnem, so he did take a little bit of shortcut, or he didn't have to necessarily go all the way around. But yeah, that hair is small, man.
Yeah, if you're Matt, you're playing to your win condition. We were talking about. I said something about that earlier. We're following that Hera small at this point, and I think that's a smart play from Matt's side. But it's just a matter of time before Jet forces that game 3. I mean, I'm looking forward. It's. Like I said, Jets to lose. I'm looking forward to game 3. These guys, always put on. I watched the race last night. These guys have, it's always fun watching these two go at it.
I mean, for two racers of this caliber, again, this is a very early on, brackets match, right?
Yeah.
I think you said this very early, too early ago. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it's a matchup. Unfortunately, Jet takes a small dive down, basically to, one of the rooms that we very rarely see, but I'm sure he would get his revenge against Moldar here.
I want to say Jet was just off 1 pixel.
That. I mean, it really did look like he was basically on that grid, and he just basically slipped very, very slightly.
This game's weird like that sometimes.
Yeah. Alright, so I guess, assuming, of course, we know in this case that Matt needs to go find those boots, which is in Turtle Rock Big Chest, which he opted, when he was in Turtle Rock, to not go outside at all. But yeah, after this, maybe Spike Cave for Matt?
Yeah, I think Spike Cave would be a good play in his shoes. Yeah, Jet having a really, really solid Aga 2 fight here, getting the 3-2-1, basically getting the best possible, given that he had a blue ball in there, that was the best possible outcome he could have gotten.
Yeah, no, Jet has actually played the seed, very, very well, right? His thoroughness has definitely paid off in this case.
Oh my god.
He is... Wait, what was in Hera Basement?
So we got a shovel, I guess.
Oh no!
We're gonna go check that too in a minute.
I'm sorry, Matt, man. All Alright, well, okay, so it looks like we're gonna do Spike Cave. He should. Oh wow, he's got a million potions and he's got a cave. I'm sure
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets through Spike Cave and maybe he probably don't even get to the shovel here. You know, we got Gold Sword already phase 2
Oh yeah,
here
that's
for
true.
Jet. And we've got Silvers.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very, very fast fight. So hold tight and we'll see how quick it goes.
Yeah, so of course, for what it's worth, right, the number of warps that we're gonna have on Jet's side is gonna be the same as Matt's, but yeah, chances are Matt, we may only be counting warps on Jet's side. Already on, again, phase 3, I just have to get through, basically, you know, get Ganon to stop moving for a little bit, and then it's just 4 silver arrows, and then Jet, barring any more, no catastrophes, he is going to be able to force a game 3, you know, for Matt versus Jet's.
All right, what are we going to get on the shovel?
Yeah, we actually might get this before Jet ends up finishing. So it's gonna be a nice double. Right.
Got a solid double there, and gonna be.
Oh, Jet! Oh my gosh!
Okay,
wow.
give me a
so
slight heart attack.
He knows how to stay on the platform, which is very important. Maybe he learned his lesson from World War II. You know, don't fall.
And finishing up Ganon there with that 4th silver arrow, sword up in the air. So that bridge is going to spawn. So get your GGs in chat for Jet082. Gonna take the win here today and force a game 3 in this series.
Yep. Yeah, GG's to Jet, finishing, you know, basically, you know, super late boots, 1 hour, 52 minutes, looks, 48 seconds, definitely, you know, very well done.
Yeah, overall, very solid race. You know, all things considered, you know, we had the linear pieces very early on, and then you know, after that, it's just the hard choices you have to make coming down the stretch. You know, I think Matt probably wasn't feeling the mess. Well, we'll see if we can get them both of them in for an interview, maybe chat with them about their decision making, and see what their thoughts are, and maybe get a peek of what the mode is going to be for game 3.
Yeah, oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, we did get some, I would say, like, early recon, you know, that, so game 1's mode was selected by Matt, which was open 80 keys with boot start. Jet and chose this one, which was just open 80 keys without boots. So yeah, very interested to hear what's going to happen in game 3. Looks like we are joined here by tonight's victor, Jet, GG's, and Matt, GG's.
GG, Matt. I didn't forget a key this time.
I believe
indeed.
we did notice that when you explicitly checked Spectrock, saw your small key. I'm very, very proud of you for picking that up.
That was a really useful small key, too. I was able to... I mean... It was interesting doing it in the dark, but with Fire Rod, it's not too bad.
Where?
Castle Tower.
Where were the booze?
The
TR big chest.
Oh, so did I throw? Oh shit, I threw, didn't I?
Oh wait, so did you mean to not go outside? Because
no, I intentionally skipped that stuff.
Okay.
Was the Eastern Big the one in Desert Torch?
Yeah.
Yep.
Was I ahead when I was in TR?
At that point, you had a little bit of a lead. Jet had done a few more overworld checks that you had not, but it was not. I mean, you had plenty of opportunities. You know, Matt, I'll say this to you because, you know, we're buds. You had plenty of opportunity to throw later on, but you know, you took it at that point. But yeah, it was a really close race throughout. And then when Boots showed up where they did, that was kind of the ceiling of the fate at that point.
Interesting. I don't know. I was feeling so awful about the seed that, like, my early game sequence was just so terrible, and I felt like my execution I was kind of off tonight, was pretty bad, so I had to make up some ground somewhere, and that is where I chose to do it.
I mean, with that late in the seed, you gotta try for some play.
Exactly. But, yeah, like when I'm from Go mode and 80 keys, like, you got to do something, I think, especially if you're feeling behind.
So we were kind of speculating maybe how each of you felt, at different points throughout the seed. Matt, you had that, I think it was like a bomb jump issue for the freeze-or chest. So I think maybe that was on your mind at some point or another. And then, Jet, I've watched you do a lot of races, calmed a lot of your races, and, you played your game. I kind of, was speculating Jet was probably feeling very solid about all of his plays, capitalizing on, the thoroughness actually working out very well for you. And I was kind of thinking maybe Matt was near the end, like you said, trying to make a play, maybe not playing to your, the way you feel like you should. So, Jet, we'll start with you. I mean, throughout the seed, everything just kind of, fell in line with the thoroughness and everything. So I guess that, I guess my question is, did you actually feel like you were in a really good spot throughout this whole race?
Not really. I felt I was too thorough, so I felt okay. Like early game, just sort of able to route and collect a ton of items like together at once. Actually felt really good. So I did Castle Tower in Dark, but that allowed me to combo Pod and Eastern, which I don't think it really panned out. But it was still good to be able to get like a ton of items like that together. But like by mid to late seed, I'm feeling very like it became very linear because I knew I did a little too many overworld checks and nothing was really panning out for that. Really is like I have to hit dungeons. That was the thing that needed to be done. And so I didn't feel necessarily great, but I didn't feel bad either. I'm just sort of like, don't do something stupid like fall to Moldorm 2, which I didn't achieve. I don't know. I think I was just a couple pixels too far north, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad because I don't know if it's like really close or what. And it sounds like if we both found boots, it would have been a really close race at that point.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. Yeah, that was one thing we were speculating. Like when you were dashing right at Moldorm, I thought you were going to run right into him and damage him, and then all of a sudden, and then I was like, well, that was. I didn't anticipate it.
Yeah. I mean, I think if assuming Matt, you did end up picking up boots from TR Big Chess, I think it definitely would have been I would say a pretty close like execution battle at that point. So certainly I would say probably too close to tell, but certainly would have been probably a different ending for at least for the end game.
I'm surprised. I thought I was dead. It looks like I had about a 2.5-minute lead at that point, though.
Yeah, I mean, so right. I was gonna say so. I think Jet probably had more checks on you at least at that time. But for example, like Smith Chain, right? Hammer pegs, powder. Jet actually went back to the Zora area in this case to to go get it. So assuming you didn't do those, you definitely did not.
Well, I wouldn't have done them because I knew the Bicky was on Desert Torch. So I would have gone right there after GT. I would have gone mode to GT, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then like the Eastern big was, I'm sorry, the Skullwoods big was locked by the Eastern big too. We we had a good little chuckle about that when Jet got that off of Armos Knights. Because I think probably everybody, and maybe even you guys, may have thought, I bet that key on the torch, just out of spite, is probably Skullwoods big, and not the Eastern big, the one I actually need.
Okay, yeah, so if I had found boots at any point, I was going to treat it like it was go mode, though. That was the plan.
Yeah, I was thinking about what I would do, but I got it midway through Turtle Rock, so I'm like, I'm checking Laser Bridge. There's no way I'm not, and it doesn't matter too much if I just leave. I guess it would have been more efficient, like if what you did, which is just, or what you hypothetically would have done, which is go right into GT, clear that, and then go grab the big key on the torch. Like that would have saved you at least the mountain climb over me, because I actually went to check the desert first to make sure it was Eastern big, and then I cleared that, and then I went back up to GT. So I did have an extra climb in there.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It would have worked, but
whatever. It's I was happy to make the play after like my early game was so bad. Like I just never had any bombs, which kind of hurt me because because like when I got the mirror, I was like, wow, the only way going to Hyrule Castle screws me if that's the castle tower key on Spec Rock. And I was like, I don't want to go into Tower of Hera because I have no bombs and I can't Hera pot with no bombs and no boots. And like instead of going to Mini Boldorm Cave, I did Hosfala and Eastern, which all that yielded was a sword, but then the game instantly handed you the remaining 3 swords. So I was feeling kind of bad about that. And I made like 3 execution mistakes, 1 in Skullwoods, 1 in Pod, and the Ice Palace one, that was just, I was just in the middle of tracking something while doing that bomb jump and I moved too far to the left. Like that happens. But because of that, I feel like I had to give Jet that type of respect and try to make a play near the end. And that is what I did. I see a lot of people. I've been watching some of the really good AD Keys players, and that's like near the end game. That's like a common skip, the right side of TR and the outside stuff. Because it's like 2 minutes. It's only 4 checks when you have, 27 in GT. So I felt like that was kind of the play I needed to make.
Yeah, I think it was, given your situation, I think it was a smart gamble. I was really on board with the right side skip. I kind of, personally had a little bit of the question marks, like when you started skipping the big chest and Mimic, just because of how aggravating those checks are to, get back to. It's pretty easy, I guess, maybe to get back to those first 2 in TR, but yeah, I mean, I gotta commend you making the play, skip, with the skips and sticking to it. Sometimes that's the way it goes.
About that is that because TR was the 5-6, my next play after GT, I'm never doing the basement and going back there because not only do I have GT, but I have Pyramid Ferry as well, and sometimes Pyramid Ferry leads to the Hera Small Clee, which leads to the shovel, and you just like go on a disaster fetch quest. But I'm not going back, and so if I'm gonna do one, I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna claim like those 2 minutes that I think I need, and because like even if I was going to do the Fire Rod lock chests, I would clear all of TR and then go back in after beating Trinex to the Fire Rod. I think that's just the right thing to do every time in that situation. But I was like, no, I'm not doing any of this.
I get it. Everything that you've done, certainly, especially listen to your thought process, I think was just very reasonable.
So this evens up the series between you two, and I have to ask, do we know what game mode we're playing for Game 3?
I think we need to talk about it now.
Yeah. Like how would you?
No pressure.
I'm
no
feeling
worries.
like you want some kind of
on the spot.
I do want to be there. Yes, I will. I'll flip you for it if.
I think we might have to flip for boot start.
All right, I'll be down with that. Do we have an impartial coin flipper?
Right now, let's do it live. Who wants to flip a coin?
Do you trust either Dante or Clearmouse to impartially?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I will pull up a Google coin flip. I can't believe I'm doing this on commentary.
Oh, this is gonna be awesome. I guess while we're waiting for Dante to pull out the digital coin, any thoughts about scheduling for Game 3?
It's tomorrow at 9.
Yeah,
okay.
We already decided. We just didn't have a mode, so we didn't put it on the schedule.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
We'll put it in after that.
So I am ready. What are the stipulations? And I will put the screenshot in the somewhere for us.
All right, Matt, you can pick what number or whatever you want.
Tails never fails. Tails for boots.
All right, flipping.
All right, Dante, we believe in you.
Go ahead.
We have heads.
Oh no!
Walk again.
Oh my gosh!
How much do I pity? How much?
I know. I was like, Danny, I would have slipped
That
you
was a long
to keep
speech,
flipping
man.
that coin until you could have posted a Tails screenshot. But
Yeah, I mean, I gotta play it as it is. We're gonna be impartial. I can't believe we actually just decided how a tournament match is gonna go with that. But
Nice.
that's a first time for everything.
I mean, I am sort of tempted to pick boots anyway, because an hour and 40 with no boots is a struggle, but you know what? I think it worked in my favor, so we're going default again.
Oh, I mean, I was pretty far ahead until I made the disaster play. I was less far ahead, I think, with boots. If you want to take that into consideration.
We got the mind games going on.
It worked, so we're doing default.
All right. There's no more. No more negotiations to be had, apparently.
I love it. This is this is great. So, but yeah, thank you guys for putting on this race. This was absolutely fantastic. Any final thoughts from you two guys before we hopefully see you race tomorrow night?
Yeah, thanks for the restream and commentary tracking. Shout outs to you guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, thank you so much, for racing, and I really do want to thank again our trackers, Tofal and AccuHive. I mean, these guys were super on top of everything. See everything is super accurate, basically keeping us be able to actually give some, be able to say something somewhat more reasonable, basically during commentary. So thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I would have forgot all the keys, and that's not even a joke. I would have if we didn't have the tracker. So a huge thanks to them. We can't talk and yell at chat while we click buttons too, so we definitely need them, and they're the unsung heroes always, as well as the restreamer too. So big shout outs to VXR for helping us out here tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks VXR.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, thank you guys for doing the commentary. Let's see. So their match is tomorrow. Let's see, we've got over on ZSR2, we've got Zelda 2 Randomizer Max Rando, and we'll go ahead and raid them. And I think that's all we have tonight. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.